जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंसा परिव्राचार्य श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace अभय चन्नारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रीला प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रीला प्रभुपाद की, आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की, वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, नवदीप धाम की, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की, श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutle Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namoham Sanikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Sudidashti Nishtapem Tastya Vakyanuvadine. Hare Krishna. Good morning. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class brought to you live at Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Temple, North Sydney, Australia. Welcome to all our online Mayapur TV viewers and ISKCON Sydney YouTube as well as ISKCON Facebook. So this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, and we are reading from chapter 28. And the title for chapter 28, Canto 3, is Kapila's instructions on devotional service. And we are reading from text 42. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani Ikshetananya Bhavena Bhutesva Iva Tad Atmatam Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani Ikshetananya Bhavena Bhutesh iva tad atmatam Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam Sarva bhutani chatmani Ikshetananya bhavena Bhutesh iva tad atmatam Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani Ikshetanya bhavena Bhutesh iva tad atmatam Sarvabhuteshu chatmanam Sarvabhutani chatmani Ikshetananya bhavena Bhuteshiva tadatmatam Sarvabhuteshu chatmanam Sarvabhutani chatmani Ikshetananya bhavena Bhutesh iva tadatmatam. Okay, ladies? No? Okay. Sarva bhuteshu, in all manifestations, cha, and atmanam, the soul, sarva bhutani, all manifestations, cha, also, atmani, in the Supreme Spirit, iksheta, he should see, ananya bhavena, with equal vision, bhuteshu, in all manifestations, eva, as, tat, atmatam, the nature of itself. Okay, so we've got the translation and the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, translation for our shloka this morning. A yogi should see the same soul in all manifestations. For all that exists is a manifestation of different energies of the Supreme. In this way, the devotee should see all living entities without distinction. That is realization of the Supreme Soul. So we can all repeat. A yogi should see the same soul in all manifestations. For all that exists is a manifestation of different energies of the Supreme. In this way, the devotee should see all living entities without distinction. That is realization of the Supreme Soul. Okay, so the purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, not only does the Supreme Soul enter each and every universe, but he enters even the atoms. The Supreme Soul is present everywhere in the dormant stage, and when one can see the presence of the Supreme Soul everywhere, one is liberated from material designations. The word Sarva Bhuteshu is to be understood as follows. Okay, so this is interesting. There are 4 different divisions of species. There are 4 different divisions of species. Living entities which sprout from the earth, living entities born of fermentation or germination, living entities which come from eggs, and living entities which come from the embryo. So, these 4 divisions of living entities are expanded in 8,400,000 species of life. A person who is freed from material designations can see the same quality of spirit present everywhere in every manifested living entity. Less intelligent men think that plants and grass grow out of the earth automatically. But one who is actually intelligent and has realized the self can see that this growth is not automatic. The cause is the soul, and the form comes out in material bodies under different conditions. By fermentation in the laboratory, many germs are born, but this is due to the presence of the soul. So that's an interesting one. We talk about germs all the time, right? Germs of this, germs of that. They have soul, according to this purport. It says, by fermentation in the laboratory, many germs are born, but this is due to the presence of the soul. So interesting. The material scientist thinks that the eggs are lifeless. The eggs are lifeless. But that is not a fact. From Vedic scripture, we can understand that living entities in different forms are generated under different conditions. Birds evolve from eggs, and beasts and human beings are born from the embryo. The perfect vision of the yogi or devotee is that he sees the presence of the living entity everywhere. Okay, so Mangal Charan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Va Evacha Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so this purport today is literally like a measurement. It is a measurement of how far you have come across as a devotee. So we can settle down maybe. You can find a chair to sit. Yes? Or okay. So this class here today is actually just telling us about certain, it's a very interesting word called discrimination. Discrimination means discrimination in the regards to different living entities. Like we look at a dog, is a living entity, as a dog. We look at something else, a bird, as a bird. But the measurement of a devotee, a true devotee or a yogi who has achieved a certain platform will certainly look at the dog and the bird as a living entity with the same soul, the super soul within. So the word discrimination then becomes irrelevant, because a pure devotee or a pure yogi will look at every living entity as equal. That's really what it is saying, as equal. So I was thinking to see what Srila Prabhupada says on this. Really, it is just simply that you are a devotee and you look upon all living entities as one. It's really difficult, actually. It's actually very difficult. So what Prabhupada was saying, he was saying that we look upon all living entities as they have one soul, the super soul, the one. However, due to the nature of the body, so this was important. Srila Prabhupada said in one of his lectures, he said, due to the nature of the body, we treat them differently. For example, we look at the dog and we think, okay, it's contaminated. So the dog is not allowed where? The dog is not allowed in the house. Although many Australians here, and actually many other people all around the world, they accept the dog and they bring them in the house. But due to contaminated stage, actually they shouldn't be. But times have changed and they are allowed in the house. So I thought I'd read a little bit about what Krishna says on this. Lord Krishna, actually what we read in the Bhagavatam just now, that's what Krishna says as well. He says a yogi should see the same soul in all manifestations. The same soul in all manifestations. And for that all exists in, what happens is it's just a different energy. The soul is the same but different energy in the body, in the manifestation. So I'll also read to you a little bit about what Bhagavad Gita says, why certain souls are the way they are. Why is it different and how it is progressed. So let's read the first part in the Bhagavad Gita. The reference of that part, that shlok, is Bhagavad Gita 5.18. Bhagavad Gita 5, chapter 5 and text 18. Yes, you know this one. Yeah, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Suni Chaiva Swa Pakecha Pandita Sama Darshinaha. That one translates, the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision, a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater outcast. All equal. All equal. A dog-eater, yes, they are dog-eaters. And they like it. I have seen, when I was growing up, little girl, we didn't know this, that they are dog-eaters, people who eat dogs. Because to us, we kept dogs as pets. We had a series of dogs. As I was growing up and the dogs were dying, my father kept on replacing with another puppy and another puppy. But times have changed within the time when I was little to now. Dog eating is something that is so common. If you open up the social media sometimes or the news, these days no one reads the newspaper, it's all online. So I saw that there was a dog farm somewhere in China. Yeah, dog farm. Just like they have a chicken farm, they have now a dog farm. And then they raise these dogs and then they kill them and then they sell the meat of the dogs. I saw it online. There's so many dogs in a farm enclosed in these little pens, like little encaged. Wow. And I was thinking, wow. And then it gets transported to a restaurant, and then some of those dog eaters were interviewed. Crazy world. They were interviewed and they said it was delicious. Such is the state from the time I was growing up to now. In the short span of time, Kali Yuga has progressed in leaps and bounds within such a short period. what we didn't hear of before. It is, and it's considered legal. It is considered legal, dog eaters. And here we have the Bhagavad Gita. What is the Bhagavad Gita telling us? The Bhagavad Gita in this shlok 5.18 is saying, the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. Equal vision. So, you can imagine the level a true Vaishnav, a humble sage, can achieve, and us. We are down there. So, it is kind of difficult, very difficult to understand even. So, how do we understand it? Is written in the purport. So, let me read why the humble sage thinks a dog eater, the dog, a learned Brahman with equal vision. How and why? It's a little of a revelation, because I have just described to you how the dog farm looks and how repulsed I was. I'm not in this humble stage platform at all. It is very difficult to see somebody in that same vision. It's very difficult. So, let's see what the purport says. The purport of this Bhagavad Gita 5.18, a Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species or castes. The Brahman and the outcast may be different from social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species. But these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalists. Now why? Why is it different? Why do they look the same to a transcendentalist? This is due to their relationship with the Supreme. For the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. So the yogi, the devotee, sees the Paramatma in even the dog eater's heart. There's a Paramatma or Super Soul. Now, who is the Paramatma? Who is the Super Soul? Is Lord Krishna himself. He is in every atom, in every body. So the person sitting next to you has a Krishna sitting in their hearts. You might hate the person sitting next to you. I'm not saying anybody here does. If you do, keep it to yourself. But no, what the whole point is that sometimes there are differences of one person to another. And it's kind of difficult to understand, but they have the super soul within them. And it becomes really easy to understand if suddenly say, God forbid, touch wood, that person leaves this planet, leaves this body. The person you hate the most or you don't like suddenly leaves. And then you realize that time, oh, this person was here, he did his activities, he was here for a certain time, he or she, or it, or some dog or animal, whatever. They did their activities that was planned, they completed it and they left. Part of their duty was to be, in the character that repulsed me or that made me hate him. That was part of their drama, part of their karma, part of their duties. They were supposed to do these things. They did it, finished it, and left. And that time you will see, let bygones be bygones, gone. Done it and gone. So that time your hatred for that person will be basically nil. It will be reduced. Because then you will understand, oh, they were here for a short time. They were supposed to do these nasty things, if they are nasty. They were supposed to eat dogs. Right? They were dog eaters. They're supposed to do it. Now they've gone. They were part of Kali Yuga drama. So that is that understanding. That comes with experience. Like we had somebody without mentioning any names, but not here in this country, another country. They were there in one of our temples, and were in the beginning they were very nice, and in the end they threatened to give our ISKCON temple to the Narayan Swami. They were in a position who could do that, to the Narayan Swami devotees, to the point that I was performing midday arti. They had midday feast in that particular temple. And I turned around and I saw a whole bunch of Narayan Swami people attending the midday feast arti. Then they grabbed the arti plates or things from there and the serving plates, and they decided to take over our temple on that day. First-hand experience. We went for prasadam. After feast, there is prasadam. The Narayan Swami devotees decided to grab all the prasadam plates and serving bowls and all the prasad, and decided to do the show themselves. It was like a military coup happening on that day. Anyway, the message went out that this was happening in a ISKCON temple. And then it was sorted out, because obviously that cannot happen. It is Prabhupada's legacy, and it is a protection for ISKCON devotees. Not that we should reject any other Gaudiya, Math devotees. They should be allowed to come and darshan. We are not hating anyone. However, I'm talking about the person who was there and they were doing this drama on behalf of this relationship with Krishna. They were supposed to do this. So that person eventually died. Obviously, the ISKCON, devotees had to do a Narsimha Yagna for protection for the temple and for the ISKCON devotees of that particular temple. We did Mahayagna in Mayapur for the protection. And the result was that the person who was threatening to give our temple away, just like that, in charity, died. They died within 2 years or something like that. So that was a big offense. They were initiated by ISKCON, Brahmin initiated by ISKCON Guru, and they were going against their own Guru. So that's a big offense. So naturally, other devotees will not like this person. Naturally, if you ask a devotee, can you see the Paramatma in this person? Very hard, very difficult. You can't see Paramatma in somebody who's doing that. Right? You hate, why is this person doing this? It's very bad. But when this person died, then the realization sets in, Krishna's Leela, Krishna's drama. They're supposed to do it, gone. Next person. They do there. So each one of you are assigned to do certain things. And it is given in the next shloka I'm going to read. The next shloka tells you that Krishna does these things. So I will read that. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. So we are continuing. Where is it? As far as bodies are concerned, in different cases or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. So whatever your situation is, whatever your condition is, he's still the Paramatma, he's still with you. And it is true, they say, God never leaves you. Through good times, through bad times, through hard times, through cruel times, God never leaves you. It is true. God never leaves you. God, Paramatma, is with you all the time under every circumstance. So it says here, the Lord Paramatma is present both in outcast and in the Brahmana. So if you are an outcast or you are a Brahman, he is present in both. He is present in the dog eater, he is present in the cow, he is present in the everyone. And he treats everyone as a friend. Everyone. That's really on a high level. We couldn't even go there, but we should aspire to go there. So it says the bodies are material production of different modes of material nature. They are in different modes of material nature. But the soul and super soul within the body are the same quality, same spiritual quality. You understand, right? The soul does not get affected by bad things. Soul remains pure. Soul cannot be destroyed, cannot be burnt. We all know that, cannot be cut. But the soul also cannot be influenced by material nature. Soul is always pure. Soul. So, it's just the material body is under different modes of nature, so they are doing different things. They're eating dogs or whatever it is that they are doing. So, a Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned, and therefore he has equal vision. So if you are, has anybody reached that stage where they can look at a living entity and say it's Paramatma and it's equal vision? Has anybody reached that stage yet? No, I haven't. I must admit, no. So we have a long way to go. We need to be as learned as those humble sages. We are very far behind actually. If you compare, unless you have reached that stage, then my full obeisances to you, because you are a great soul now. Because you have attained that stage of that humble sage who can see that the soul and the super soul, they are both conscious, eternal and blissful, and can see the Paramatma in every living entity without discriminating on their actions and behavior. So, but the difference is that the individual soul, also here's a little bit of a difference. The difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the super soul is conscious of all bodies. So that is the difference. The individual soul is not fully conscious of everything, but the super soul, yes. The super soul is present in all bodies without distinction. So I had a question and I asked my spiritual master, the super soul is in our body, but our body is full of flesh and blood and all these things. It's not clean. If you are a doctor, you post-mortem a body, it is very, very smelly, I tell you. And it's very bad inside, not nice. Just our skin is covering, so we look presentable. How can the super soul reside? That's Krishna, Paramatma, in something that is not clean within our bodies. How and where? Even they say the super soul is in the heart. The heart is there, but it is still flesh and blood. So how is it? It's not clean. So first of all, the soul is very tiny. What is a 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair? So you look at your hair and you look at it, is very tiny spark. But my spiritual master said it is present in the, just like similar to that of a hologram. What is a hologram? A hologram is like a reflection. So there is a Krishna, you take a mirror, there's a reflection. The hologram is just like a reflection and it is present there. It's like that. That's how he described it to me. It's like a hologram inside you, near your heart, in a vicinity. So then I was thinking, it's got to have a, like even the hologram should look, be in a nice place. Even the hologram should be in a nice place. So what should we do? Well, chant and purify the heart. Fill your heart with nice things. Then maybe it will be nice for Krishna to reside there. Even his hologram will be nice. So that was the part 1 of this class. The part 2 that I wanted to read to you was how this soul is directed to do certain things. Your soul, my soul, his soul, the elephant soul, the dog eater soul. How? Why do they do this? So I found in Bhagavad Gita 18.61, that's the reference, 18.61. If you know this shlok, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hirdeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. So here the translation is, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, which we determined earlier. O Arjun, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as a machine made of the material energy. So basically the super soul is directing the dog eater, the elephant, the learned Brahmin, the cow, everyone. He's the driver. He's directing everyone. So Arjun, the purport is, Arjun was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. So that is what it was being said. The soul is not really aware of everything, the soul. So Krishna has to guide you. So Arjun here also didn't know fight or not to fight. So Krishna, being kind, he was right there with him, told him. So how about you? To be or not to be, to do this or not to do this. Pray really hard to the Paramatma. Please guide me. Just like Arjun prays to Krishna, please guide me. You have to pray to Krishna, please guide me. Like this morning, I was tired to give a class or not to give a class. Last night's kirtan was really good, but it took a lot of time. So this morning I said to do a class or not to do a class. I did at the class. But yes, so you have to pray to Krishna, should I do this or not do this? So I always use my guru's trick solution. He says, whatever questions, to do or not to do, to be or not to be, the bottom line answer should be, is this good for my spiritual life? Is this good for my spiritual progress? Is this a good spiritual activity? Will Krishna be pleased with this? If the answer is yes, do it. So then my class came, and it happened because is Gopinath pleased or not pleased? Yes, he will be pleased. Okay, do the class. So it's a simple thing. But yes, you have to ask yourself that. To do it or not to do it, is Krishna going to be pleased with this? That's the bottom line, really. That's how you decide. So, so Lord Krishna instructed that individual soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized super soul, sits in the heart, directing the living being. So he directs the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds. Anybody here remembers their past life? No one. Yeah, we forget. You don't know who you were unless you go to somebody who does regression. Regression is somebody who takes you in the past life. Then you remember. So, should I reveal the secret? My spiritual master can. To prove that you are the soul, not the body. It is for preaching purposes. Because first of all, you have to understand you're the soul, not the body. A lot of people don't believe that. They don't have the knowledge. So he regressed a few. Sure enough, they went in the past life. They realized they're the soul, they're not the body. First thing, but he doesn't do that on any whim, that you ask him and then he will regress you. No. They were facing some problems. Like for this particular person, that person is in Sydney, by the way, and is a devotee amongst us. It's a she. Was afraid of the dark. Why the lights go off, they start feeling very scared. So nothing could work for them, and they have doctors in their families. So then that person was regressed. My spiritual master did that, and it was found that person in a previous life had died in the forest all alone in darkness. No light. And they were lost in the forest, basically. They were going round and round and round in circles. Couldn't find a way out. In previous life, don't know which year it was, but it was not immediately previous life. It was 2-3 lives ago. So that impression you can bring it in this life too. After 2 or 3 lives, 100 lives. So it was found that person died in the darkness of the forest. I mean, you can imagine if you switch off the lights in all the rooms of the house and close the curtains, there's no light coming from outside. It's totally dark. You can't see. So It's very terrifying. So after that regression actually is recorded in ISKCON Desire Tree. So you can actually hear it. It's there. It's probably been placed there because then we understand that we are the soul, we are not the body. And so our actions are certain times, it has got to do with the past life. Certain people you meet, you connect with them. You realize, oh, if you can remember your past life. So that's it. So then Krishna, the living entity, he forgets or she forgets their past life, and then Krishna directs them into the new life. So the best thing to do is to make sure that you are practicing Krishna conscious and chanting Hare Krishna. If there's anything left in the next life, it will be completed, and then you are on your way. So Krishna directs you. I'll tell you a nicer story other than the one somebody dying in the dark. This devotee had a baby and in New Zealand, and they were born with a tilaka. So when they're born, they had tilak. Yeah, right from the womb. No chandan applied, they came with a tilak. How blessed are the couple. That devotee would have been, that baby would have been a devotee in previous life. And the parents are Brahmin devotees, Brahmin initiated, disciples of Pir Krishna Maharaj actually. That's how I know. I saw them and I saw the baby, I took photos. Born with a perfect tilak, perfect. So they must have had some things to complete in this life. So they came back, and very wonderful little devotees they are. They're growing up. The one with the tilak, there's two brothers, but the one with the tilak, just as a toddler, went to a shop and there was a Buddha statue there, started offering obeisances to the Buddha as a toddler. They knew, even, without being told. The devotee from previous life, just here to complete whatever it is there. Or maybe they're here to serve the spiritual master, who knows. We'll see. I'll be old by the time they grow up and start doing things, but hopefully I get to see what they were born for. Anyway, so that concludes our class for today. The lesson of the class today was to see the Supreme Soul, the Paramatma in every living entity, from the dog eater to the dog, to the Brahman, to the cow. If not, then we have to teach ourselves, read the Bhagavad Gita, those particular shlokas that I had quoted, chapter 5 and chapter 18.61, I think it was 5.18. That will give you more insight to how you can train yourself to have further understanding, and then there'll be no discrimination from one living entity to another living entity despite their good activities or bad activities. Any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu. Oh, right. We got a story. Yes. Oh, right. So this is Indradumna Maharaj, right? Niranjana Swami, His Holiness Niranjana Swami's story. I'll read to you. There is one story. At one of the lectures, a man angrily expressed a claim. Why do you criticize everyone? You should look at everything exactly the same. Pandita Samadarshina. Prabhupada calmly and humbly replied, this is a very high level, like we were talking about, a very high level. I'm simply repeating Krishna's words, which are addressed to all classes of people. Krishna calls somebody Mugdha. These are his words, not mine. And whatever Krishna says, he conveys to everyone equally, without doing differences. After the lecture, this man came forward and apologized, realizing that Prabhupada was a Pandit Samar Darshina. So we apologized to Srila Prabhupada. That's a nice story. So if we have discriminated someone, thank you, Prabhu. Discriminated someone, we have to apologize because they are acting under, they belong to Krishna. They've got Paramatma inside them. And they are all in different stages, progress. The higher the level, the better it is. So that is actually a good lesson. If we have done something or misjudged, best way out is to apologize sincerely. Yeah, that's another good lesson for the day. If we may have made a mistake, apologize. But sincerely, my guru says, they go in the church and they confess, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." And then they go and do the same thing again. And then come back, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." So we shouldn't do that. It's a repetitive cycle. If you say, "Forgive me, Krishna, for I have sinned," that's good, but just don't do it again. That's what it is. So thank you for listening for this morning. Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki jai. Gurudev ki jai.